Welcome back to the Journey Mindfulness Podcast, where we explore the edges of inner awareness, mystery, and the extraordinary. Today's episode is a special one, and I mean truly special one. I'm joined by someone near and dear to my heart, my brilliant nephew, the great Nate. Nate may be young in years, but he's already on his way to becoming an expert in one of the most fascinating realms of curiosity: cryptids. From Bigfoot to the Mothman, Nessie to the New Jersey Devil, Nate knows the legends, the sightings, and the stories behind these elusive beings. Not only is he a walking encyclopedia of strange creatures, but he's also a talented artist who brings these mysteries to life through his vivid imagination and drawings. This episode is about wonder, mystery, and how staying curious at any age keeps the magic of the world alive. So buckle up for an inspiring and insightful conversation with a truly gifted young mind. Let's dive into the world of cryptids and creativity with the great Nate. Nate, welcome.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah? Are you ready to have some fun?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to dive in. What exactly is a cryptid for those that don't know? What's a cryptid?
A cryptid is a creature that it could be something like, let's say, Bigfoot. It's something
Hmm.
that has sightings, but necessarily no one knows what if if it exists.
So
So,
there's mystery behind its existence.
yeah. And many people may have a different opinion on if this creature slash being exists.
Yeah. Have you seen a cryptid yet?
No.
Okay. Just checking. Because some people have, right? And that's why it's so exciting. How did you first become interested in cryptids?
Well, when I was little, I used to go onto YouTube and search up mythical creatures, and I would, for about 2 hours, I would watch videos about creatures that very much fascinated me.
Yeah. Was there one creature that really sparked your interest? Like, what was the first cryptid or mythical creature that sparked it for you? That got you excited about it?
The Kentucky Goblin.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. What fascinated you about the Kentucky Goblin?
I just thought the sightings of this creature were very, very cool. And the mystery, even though the mystery hasn't been solved, it just seems like a very cool creature.
Um, Excellent. Well, do you want to start with the Kentucky Goblin? Like give us some information about it and kind of what people would be interested in knowing about it? Like when did the sighting start, or what's the story behind the Kentucky Goblin?
Sure. So the Kentucky Goblin, also known as the Hopkinsville Goblin, its first sighting was probably the mid 50s, where two men who lived in a farmhouse note they were being attacked by some sort of creature, which this creature what look well these creatures looked like let's a species of ape. They had long
Okay.
they had long eyes and they had long arms, and their eyes went from the side of their heads, and apparently they didn't have noses, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And this is in 1955?
I'm not sure, but it's somewhere close to that year.
Okay. All right. So I'm just looking it up real quick here. It looks like August 21st, 1955. Okay, you're right. Hopkinsville, Kentucky. The Sutton family claimed that a group of small, glowing-eyed creatures emerged from the woods and terrorized their farmhouse for several hours.
And one of them actually got attacked by a by one of those creatures. And what happened, the man went right out the door with his shotgun
Uh-huh.
or just gun, and he said apparently the creature grabbed his hair on apparently the creature was on top of, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's the thing that covers the rain when it comes down, and well, just part of the roof. It
Yeah,
came
okay. Like
down,
a covering.
yeah, it came down from that thing, and it pulled his hair, and he got very scared, and the
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? Oh my gosh. And so you tell me this is what some of the bullet points I'm looking at. You tell me which ones are accurate or not, because I know you know a lot about it, and you know everything you read on the internet's not always true. So it says the goblins were about 3 to 4 feet tall
yeah,
with
that's correct.
large pointed ears, claw-like hands, glowing yellow eyes, metallic skin. Okay, now this one I did not know. They hovered or floated instead of walked?
Okay, so there are two there are three things that are not true and the rest are true. Um
Okay,
the first thing, they had an they had glowing orange eyes.
okay.
I've seen that in a lot of videos I've seen. And,
Gotta get the details right, man. That's
and
good to know.
then instead of they might have had metallic skin, but it to me it was pale greenish, like just a pale green.
Okay,
And they did not hover. They either walked on 2 feet, or or they um they walked on all fours. I'm not sure, it might be both.
okay,
They did not hover.
okay. Now this says you were correct. So they were shooting at them, and they were reportedly unfazed and returned. Like the creatures were unfazed. They weren't hurt, and they returned multiple times during the night. So this was like an ongoing thing.
Yeah. And that also means that there was a lot of those creatures, because
All
it
right.
yeah. Mhm.
Was there a count? Did they have like how many were there, or did they know, or just maybe when you're that scared, it's hard to count.
I'm not sure. I've never had a full count, but it was definitely more than 10 goblins.
Okay. Now, you know me and my interests, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I put in the Kentucky Goblin in ChatGPT. So I did not write this. It says there's a UFO connection. It
Yep.
says just before the incident, one family member claimed to have seen a bright object streak across the sky and land nearby. This led many to believe the goblins were extraterrestrial beings, possibly crash landed aliens.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
You think that? I
Yep.
didn't know that.
It was because if they are unfazed and they're extraterrestrial,
Okay, you know, yeah, extraterrestrial, multi-dimensional, maybe. Like it's, the bullets are going right through them. They're not in this world, but not being hit by that. Wow. And so I'm looking here too. Like there was some interesting explanations for what these might have been. What did people, for like a skeptic, right? Because there's always skeptics who are like, oh, that didn't happen, or you're mistaking you think you saw a goblin, but it was really something else. What did people say? What did skeptics say about it?
Um, some kind of ape, some kind of ape goblin hybrid,
Okay.
which explains which explains why some people say it, while I think some skeptics say that it was quadrupedal and walked on all fours.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, another example that I'm reading here, it says a great horned owl, which is interesting.
Yeah, it could be it, but if it was a great horned owl, then how would there be so many of them?
Or how would a great horned owl dodge bullets?
And pull someone's hair.
Yeah, doesn't quite add up. Um, what else? Or a prank.
Oh yeah, prank.
I don't know. That seems like a pretty elaborate. I wouldn't want to be pranking someone that's shooting at me.
Those old teens in the 1950s. Oh,
Yeah.
oh no, no.
So I guess the last thing here that it says that I'm looking at, and then is there's no definitive proof, or there hasn't been any proof that's disproved the family's claims. So as fantastic as they are, there hasn't been any debunking of the claims per se. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, Nate.
yeah,
Okay. All right. This is going somewhere that it's interesting to me. Remember I was telling you about that documentary?
yeah.
Yeah.
The Hell Eyes,
Hellier.
Hellier.
Yeah, the Hellier redocumentary. This case gained new life with the Hellier documentary series on Amazon Prime and YouTube. Paranormal researchers Greg and Dana Newkirk followed up on a mysterious email from someone claiming to see goblin-like creatures in eastern Kentucky caves. What is the cave out there?
Mammoth Cave.
Okay. So I watched this documentary several years ago, and when you were talking about the Kentucky Goblin, I was like, man, this sounds a lot like these sightings that were happening in I guess Eastern Kentucky. That was very interesting.
And I have two more sightings that I would like to tell you about the Kentucky Goblin.
Um, yeah, let's so just to kind of set the stage for that, are these theories about them or
No, these are like actual sightings about
okay.
sightings of these creatures.
All right,
So
let's hear it.
so one of the first of the two is a couple of Boy Scouts in eastern Kentucky wandered into Mammoth Cave because I think they something I'm pretty sure they dropped like something that they were playing with and it went into the cave. And then when they went into the cave, they saw they saw a a creature that looked like a goblin that had brown fur, red glowing eyes, and tan pale skin.
Okay, what is that?
That is one of the other descriptions of the Hopkinsville goblin.
Do you think there's more than one like species potentially?
I think that could be true. Yeah, that's like if there's like different types of Bigfoots and different types of Nessies, then there's probably different species of Hopkinsville goblins.
Yeah, I mean, there's different kinds of, humans as well, right? Like we all have look a little bit different. Um, what do you, so there's like hollow earth theories or that they're interdimensional beings or elemental spirits or fey-like beings. What do you think they are?
I think there's two things I think they are. Some kind of first thing extraterrestrial being comes from maybe a different planet or dimension, and the hollow earth, and the same thing with that, the hollow earth theory,
Uh-huh.
and also and also the and also that they're just these another well, this is a personal theory.
Yeah.
They could be like unevolved versions of us, which somehow evolved into being what they are. Like, it kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of Wrong Turn, like, that horror movie, The Wrong Turn.
I don't know if I've seen that one specifically, but I have a good idea about where you might go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're mute. It's about like these guys that are mutated,
Hmm.
and they're like unevolved humans.
So, do you think could they still be out there? The goblins, the Kentucky
Yeah.
goblins?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, all right. I mean, that's what is there anything we didn't cover with the Kentucky goblins? I mean,
One thing we
that's
have to cover.
yeah.
Thing left. The second sighting. The third sighting we're gonna talk about in the 1800s, which is like way back before any of these. It was the first sighting of
Hmm.
the Hopkinsville goblins, where a miner, well, multiple miners, went into Mammoth Cave and reported seeing small creatures that were pure, that had pure green skin. They were very small, and they had like they would drink from the little bits of water in the Mammoth Cave. And they were
Wow.
and they and I'm pretty sure they were hostile to the humans.
Yeah. Okay, so is that the first sighting then?
Yet, yeah, it goes in a row. That was the first sighting. Then it was the one in the farmhouse, and then the next one was the one with the Boy Scouts.
Okay. And do we know what year that was at all?
Um,
I
I
can
think
look it
it
up if
could
we
be. I'm I'm pretty sure it was like a couple years after the farmhouse sighting.
mm, interesting. Okay. Well, so there's been interesting sightings down the throughout the years, and I think we got it, man. Anything else with Kentucky Goblin, or should we move on to the next cryptid?
That's all I have to say about my favorite cryptid.
Okay, so the Kentucky Goblin kicked it off. Where would you like to go next?
Let's take a trip to Canada because we're covering the Fetus Lake Monster.
Okay, you're gonna have to repeat that name for me again.
So Thetis, with a
Yeah.
T and an H, and Lake Monster. Thetis Lake Monster.
Okay. All right, well, kick it off. What is this?
So the Thetis Lake Monster was is a. Do you know the movie Creature of the Black Lagoon?
I'm not. Nothing's coming up for me.
Well, if you want to Google it, then you should probably Google it because that is something that is literally this entire cryptid.
Okay. Wait a minute. Is this like an old movie?
Yeah, it's like from 1945.
Oh, okay. I think so. I'm looking at something called Canada's Gill Man.
Yep, that
Okay.
that's
So you're kind of blowing my mind. I have a very curious mind. Um, you do as well. You are incredibly open-minded. I don't believe I've heard of this before.
I know because it's such an unknown cryptid.
Okay. So, I mean, you came prepared. Well done on you. So, this is near what, Victoria on Vancouver Island.
Yep, that's correct.
A humanoid aquatic monster. Um, okay. So, tell us about there's one sighting I'm seeing here, but which one comes to mind or
Well, there's one. There's only one that I know
this is
of.
okay. Well then,
Probably the only one.
okay. What do you
Uh,
got?
So the status. So t- I'm pretty sure early 20-year-olds were at the lake. We're at the Fetus Lake.
Interesting. This is August 19th, 1972.
Yep. And they reported seeing a semi-aquatic humanoid creature coming out of the water, and apparently it scratched one of them using its claws.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely hostile.
Do you think okay, I mean, was it hostile or were they like swimming in its home?
They weren't swimming. They were. It just came out of the water out of nowhere. It just walked out of there.
All right. I mean, this is I haven't seen an image of it yet. I'm gonna put some images of these cryptids for those watching it. But it says okay, they claimed it had silver scaled skin, sharp barbed fins, webbed hands, and a fish-like face with bulging eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the description.
And then a few days later, two other teens reported seeing what appeared to be the same creature rising from the water before quickly disappearing.
Yep.
So, what made you bring up this sighting?
Well, I think that sighting it's it starts it all.
Okay. Do you
And
think these boys made it up, or could something really have been in the lake?
well, some people say the second sighting people said that their sighting was a hoax. Cause that's what I've heard.
Okay. They
When I
made it up, you think?
Yeah, cause if it would be, if it was hot, if it's if it scratched someone, then it would be hostile to them. So then it makes it pretty obvious that it is a hoax.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly interesting. What if you were designing the Thetis Lake Monster, what would you change or add to it if you were going to make it?
Well, I've I've actually drawn this when I made two posters. I made two posters with a ton of cryptids on them,
Hmm.
and I made the skin a navy blue, and their fins are red, and their eyes are just white, like just white, no pupils, and
Okay.
that's what I imagined.
Is this an image that you could share with me and then we could look at?
I don't Not sure where that picture is.
Okay. All right. That's okay. Maybe you can draw one for the show. What would you do if you saw a scaly creature rise up from the water?
Karate kick it.
Nate, if I saw something like that, I would hope you were with me to protect me, my friend. All right. Is there any other movies or anything else besides that 1945? What was it? The
Uh,
Black Lagoon?
Creature of the Black Lagoon. There's a sequel. There's a sequel, The Creature Returns.
Okay.
And it was literally just what the Fetus Lake Monster did. It was just the apparently the monster just got captured and it was an attraction, and then it escapes its enclosure, and then it attacks everyone at the thing. It's probably an
Okay.
aquatic museum.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that's notable or that you want to add about the Fetus Lake Monster?
I just want to say this is all honestly one of my favorite cryptids to talk about because the because we no one knows if it's a hoax or if it's real, but I'm pretty sure it was a real cryptid because the other one was a hoax, and if it was hostile for the first time, then who would know? Who would know if it was real? So no one knows.
Okay, and wait, you're talking about a different one? This isn't the Fetus Lake Monster?
No, the Fetus Lake Monster. The second sighting,
Yeah.
the two teens said it was a hoax. They revealed to everyone that it was a hoax.
Okay.
But the first one, they stayed. Those two people stayed completely silent with their mouths shut.
Mike, you think they told the truth and just were afraid to talk about it again?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting, when people have experiences, how what they do with that, because sometimes they're afraid, to be open to ridicule and stuff like that, or it's better not to talk about it. But yeah, it's interesting. Um, should we move on to the next cryptid, to the third cryptid in our
yeah, sure.
Legends mystery?
So we're gonna stay pretty close to Canada. This is another cryptid. I'm pretty sure it's from Canada. We're gonna take a trip to British Columbia,
Okay.
and today we're gonna be focusing. And this one we're gonna be focusing on the Ogo Pogo.
Okay, so we're staying in British Columbia. Ogo Pogo. All right, kick it off, man. What do we need to know about the Ogo Pogo? What is the origin sightings of that?
So the Ogo Pogo is a Nessie variant. It's British. It's British Columbia's version of Nessie. Um,
Nessie being the Loch Ness monster, the
yeah,
famous Loch Ness monster.
Scottish beasts, and so this creature, it is said to have humps, humps on its two humps on its back, a very long neck, and a horse or serpent-like face.
Wow. Okay. That's that's pretty, good description of it. What are the origins then of sightings? This is actually okay, this is on it's a indigenous legend as well.
Yeah, because Canada also has Ogopogo as one of their cryptids.
Okay. So what I'm checking out right now, it says long before modern sightings, the Silix First Nations. So native of the natives of that area spoke of a water spirit called Naha-Atik. Naha-It. That's difficult to pronounce. Described as a powerful and sacred being that required offerings when crossing the lake. Unlike the modern monster myth, the Naha-Ik was not just a creature, it was a spiritual force of nature demanding respect. Indigenous lore casts Ogopogo not as a threat, but as a guardian or force, a different tone than the water monster idea. Okay, interesting.
So this kind of goes into your stuff with like elemental.
Yeah.
Goal.
Yeah, and yeah, First Nations, Native Americans have a long history of believing in like sky people, like UFOs and aliens and stuff are
Wendigos.
are part of. Yeah, I mean there's far more than I would say that I'm educated enough to really articulate, but yeah, I mean what skinwalkers as well.
I'm not sure about skinwalkers, but maybe.
Well,
Oh
well,
yeah,
if you go to
skinwalkers. Yeah,
a reservation
skinwalkers.
or something, you
Yeah, I
know,
just realized skinwalkers are definitely just
yeah,
Native American witches that changed their shape.
very interesting. There's a pretty famous show right now on, I think it's the History Channel called Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, I know
Um,
that place, and that place is dangerous.
it's certainly interesting, and there's, been a long history of investigations, but I know we're getting sidetracked off of Ogopogo.
Mhm.
So let's bring it back to so we just talked about the origins of it and the First Nation history of that. Bring us into the modern sightings. What is the first sightings that you can tell us about, in more modern times?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of any sightings that I can be specific of,
Okay.
but I know that a lot of boaters, I'm pretty sure that a lot of boaters in British Columbia claim to see this creature
Yeah.
in the ocean. And it was also it said kind of like all the other Nessie variants, it has a very large body resembling a plesiosaur with flippers.
Ooh. How long is it?
I would say 80 to maybe 100 feet.
Um, hmm. Snake-like or serpent-shaped humps rising and falling in the water. Yeah, and then it says that horse-like head again, which is what you said. Um, okay, Ogopogo. There's something to that name.
I'm pretty sure it was like, well, that's actually a lot of stuff in British Columbia that has Pogo, Ogo, that like, there's two cryptids that I'm pretty sure are in British Columbia. Manny, Manny Pogo and um Igo Pogo.
Are these the same thing or different?
They're different. I'm not sure what any of them are. I just saw them in one of my cryptid books and I didn't read anything. I'll make sure to go check them after this.
So this is interesting to me. I'm curious what you think. So it says some of the explanations and skepticism for Ogopogo could be floating logs or debris, which makes sense. Otters swimming in line, which is also interesting. That's like an interesting description because sometimes you see the humps, right? And could it just be otters swimming in a straight line together?
Yeah, but to me that doesn't make a lot of sense because otters usually otters are for a lot of their life are well not for a lot of their life because they're usually floating on water, but usually they're diving down for food and it wouldn't make sense for them to be in a straight line because if since it's serpent or plesiosaur like, how would it be like if it looked like it would be swimming in like a serpent motion, like a slithering motion?
Yeah. So do you think a creature like that could just be an undiscovered species?
Yeah, like um giant eels,
Yeah.
like catty.
So you think it's possible?
Yeah.
That's what makes this also interesting, right?
Hmm?
Um, what else about the Ogopogo? Like, how does it compare with the Loch Ness Monster or Nessie? Or what's the other? Isn't there another one called Champ or something?
Oh yeah, Champa, Vermont. Yeah,
Is it Lake Champlain?
yeah. They're all Nessie variants have something in common, and that is that most of them were described as plesiosaurs.
It's funny. When I was your age, that's what I was convinced that it was just a plesiosaur.
And plesiosaurs they are not dinosaurs, believe it or not. They are
Yeah, say more. What are they?
They are lizards.
Okay. Yeah, I
Large.
mean that seemed to make like the most sense to me back in the day when I first heard about that. And it is also interesting too, don't you think that there's so many different I'm calling them lake monsters, although some of them seem friendly. Um, there's so many of them. Loch Ness, Champ, Ogopogo. I'm sure there's others.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a lot of sightings in history to not be to have some truth to it. I think. What do you think?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Yeah, it just seems like there's so much variety of this, type of monster throughout the world. It seems unlikely to me that there isn't some truth to it.
And that's I have a before we go on to the next cryptid,
Mhm.
I would like to say one of my theories.
Yeah,
If
I would love to hear it.
Since there's multiple Nessies, and since they're most like Nessie variants, that it would make sense if since these are a lot of people say skeptics sometimes say that they are plesiosaurs that survived the ice age and are now alive, and they migrated. That's my theory. They migrated throughout the world and somehow evolved into the unique traits that they have on their body. And that's why they're all around the world.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible, right, that there's some underwater passages, right, that submarines or for some type of creature like that to be able to go underwater through some tunnel or some other passageway, right?
Or just swim like 5 million miles.
I who knows? I don't know, but it's certainly interesting for sure. Um okay. What why do you think people want to believe in creatures like this?
Well, they just want to have something like me. I just want to be unique and be someone that I want to be. I just want to
Yeah,
things I want to like.
you're
And
curious about it.
yeah, because I like these things. I think they're actually interesting.
I think you have a very unique and wonderful beginner's mind, right? Like you're looking at all of the evidence and coming up with a conclusion, and you're open minded. You're not just trying to disprove something. You're asking questions, which is what we want to do, right? If we want to find the truth about something, we got to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where are we going next?
Let's take a trip way far, far away tropical into a tropical place in the Bahamas.
Okay,
Um,
where to?
I went to the Bahamas. Just Bahamas.
The
And I want
Bahamas.
to
All right,
go
the Caribbean.
Yeah, I just want to go over a couple cryptids that you may see there. 3.
So okay. So we're going into the trifecta here. What do we got?
All right, so first up, this is my favorite one out of all of them. This one is a Nessie variant.
In
The other
the
one.
ocean, okay.
It is the Alvin sea serpent or Alvin plesiosaur.
Okay. I've never heard of it.
So the description of skeptics say that it is a large plesiosaur-like creature that has blue glowing eyes and has grayish blue scales all around its body. And this thing is massive.
Okay.
It's more than like 150 feet long.
Okay. Can you repeat it again? The Alvin what?
Alvin sea serpent or Alvin plesiosaur.
Okay. Um now I mean that sounds I don't even know. What's the biggest thing in the ocean? A blue whale, right?
Yeah, but yeah, this thing is it's might be. I'm not sure if it's probably bigger than that. Because this thing is absolutely massive.
Okay, and it's not a megalodon?
No, because the some sightings might say it has like a fin or like a shark tail, but it's not a megalodon, it's a plesiosaur, which is why one of its names is Alvin plesiosaur.
Okay.
And
So,
so the
yeah.
sightings, we're gonna go on the first and only sighting of this creature. And that's what makes it very interesting.
All right, let's get into it.
So in the Bahamas, there was a submarine project, and the submarine was called Alvin, and which gives the cryptid its name, Alvin sea serpent or Alvin plesiosaur.
Uh,
And when it went deep underwater, it just saw this huge eye, probably the size of my head, and descriptions say that it was moving past. I'm pretty sure it was moving past the submarine with all of its blue and gray scales.
um, oh wow, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fully unlike a lot of all of like the other Nessie variants. This is not semi. This isn't semi-aquatic. It is fully aquatic.
Okay. So this,
As
just to give this some context, Alvin, the Alvin was taking a deep dive in the tongue of the ocean near the Bahamas. And the Alvin was what does it say? It says a well-respected sub built in 1964 for the U.S. Navy, capable of diving over 1 mile deep. And that's when they were on taking a deep dive when they saw a large, long-necked creature that had a thick body and 4 flippers and a snake-like head. Wow. Moving, it appeared to rise from a deep underwater crevasse, moving around the sub and then swam upward out of camera range. Wow. I've never heard of this.
no, that's what makes it interesting for you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, you're right. So, okay, this is interesting too. It was recorded in the sub's wet log. So what they saw
Was on
down below, but they omitted it from the official records, reportedly due to skepticism by the surface crew. So they came back, they saw what they saw, and then the crew on the surface didn't put it into the official record.
because they probably didn't believe them. Like who would
Yeah.
believe this huge thing just comes out of nowhere, swims around the submarine, and didn't do anything.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, it's the descriptions do closely match those of a plesiosaur.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they say it's, considered an extinct marine reptile, but they're always discovering things or realizing some things are not uh extinct. So that's definitely a compelling story. And they were also the people that saw them were pilots and engineers, which, if you know anything about pilots, they are highly observant, right? They are very mindful, very aware of things because they have to be, very careful when they're navigating their aircraft. So I tend to trust what pilots report because they have a very I think keen eye for observation.
Wait, like the pilot who drives the submarine sub?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they have to be all eyes on that radar that like senses stuff near the boat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's. So what else about this sighting would you like to share before we go on to you said there's 3 of them, so we got a couple more?
Yeah, we got two more. And so this the I just have one more theory.
Okay.
So about this, I just have one theory about this. So since most of the Nessie variants have pale or green skin, they had this since this one its descriptions say blue. I have a theory that the since it stayed in the water so long and developed gills, its skin absorbed water, making the color blue on its skin. Which I'm not sure if that sounds like it, if that theory makes sense, but it's just a theory.
Well, that's the whole thing with science, right? People propose, you have a hypothesis, and you observe it, you test it out, see what works and what doesn't, right? So it's good to have one. But this sighting is interesting due to the credibility of the witnesses. I think that adds a lot of weight to it for me.
Okay, so let's move on and let's take a boat trip to the banana holes.
Okay.
Pretty
All
sure.
right. Let's
So
dive in.
this creature is called the Luska or Luska, also known as Sharktopus.
Okay. What do we need to know? Where do we start with that?
Let's start with the description of the creature. So the the head is a shark. It has all of its sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. The species of shark is either a great white shark or a mako. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And the bottom half is a giant octopus body, except this thing, like the Alvin sea serpent, is massive.
Can I just give you a compliment?
Mm-hmm.
This says the Luska. my chat GPT, my artificial intelligence here, Nate, says the Luska is a great choice, often nicknamed the Sharktopus, is one of the most terrifying and intriguing sea cryptids in ocean lore. And here's my compliment. I've never heard of this. And I tend to look at things like this. So what? This is crazy. Unbelievable. Let's say more.
And it turns out the head, even though it has eyes, it can't see out those. It's you know how the octopus's mouths are in between their tentacles and they have their beak?
Uh-huh.
Of the in the inside of the beak of the Luska is its eye, which it sees out of. Which I am pretty sure it sees out of.
Okay.
Wrong.
I mean, this thing is massive.
Yeah, it is. Massive.
A gigantic sea creature up to 75 to 200 feet long.
Well, that's a wide thing. That's a very long thing.
Yeah.
And I bet its tentacles are a lot of that. Like a lot of that.
Okay, but didn't they I'm trying to imagine, have you drawn or seen an image of this before?
I do have a drawing of this.
Okay, because we are probably gonna have to rely on your drawing because I'm trying to picture this in my brain and having a hard time. It's a sharktopus, like
But I might have to get out of my wait, I don't have to get out of my room to get it. Can I
oh
just
well
grab my thing?
no, we'll share it afterwards. I'll add it to there. You don't have to go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I'll put it in when we watch the video. We'll see it. But okay, the tentacle lower half of an octopus or a squid. Some versions even describe it as entirely cephalopodic, but unnaturally large and aggressive. This
Yeah,
chimera-like creature earns the nickname Sharktopus for obvious reasons. As if evolution took the deadliest parts of two apex predators and combined them.
Well, octopuses are not predators, so ChatGPT is kind of wrong because octopuses are not predators. Squids technically are, but like the big ones are, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting. Good
Mhm.
call. Good catch. Um, all right. So the Bahamas just became less desirable for me to go to. Um, what what about sightings and what's going on there?
I have like the Alvin sea serpent. I have no specific sightings or any sightings in mind. But this thing is so it has a sighting because if it didn't have a sighting, then it wouldn't be a thing. So it has a sighting. I have no idea of the sighting. It could be like the Ogo Pogo where it was people on a boat that just saw this thing
Uh-huh.
near the banana holes or blue holes of, of the Bahamas.
So I don't see any verified sightings here.
Yeah.
Nothing came up, but it's reported to drag fishermen underwater, pull small boats into whirlpools, create sudden unnatural turbulences in calm blue holes, whatever that means. Yeah, interesting. Okay, there's some science behind the myth or whatever. The giant Pacific octopuses can grow. I did not know this. 20 plus feet.
Oh yeah, because they're like, and I'm pretty sure they're the ones that camouflage themselves into stuff. They like change the color of their skin.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's super fascinating.
Yeah.
And they also can appear shark-like underwater in silhouette, and also sharks and large squids slash octopuses do coexist in deep sea trenches. Underwater currents and blue holes can be extremely dangerous. Whirlpools, downdrafts, and sudden changes may contribute to mystery and fear. Okay, I mean these are interesting. And didn't they? Was it like a few years ago? What did they discover? They thought was extinct, but the colossal squid or the giant squid.
Those things were like no, like those things were have been around for like thousands of years, and they I've never seen a reportings of giant squids being a lot just like found alive.
Well, I think
Like
they found
oh,
one. What do you call it?
I know. The, the thing that they found a couple years ago, the thing that well, not a couple years ago. I think you're talking about. I don't know the name of it, but it's like that fish that everyone. It's that fish that everyone thought that everyone thought was extinct until they found it in the ocean.
Which which one are you thinking of?
It starts with the letter C, but I'm not sure of the name.
Uh, what am I thinking of? Mm,
You were you were saying something about the giant squids or the colossal squids.
species of giant squid has been filmed in its natural environment for the first time in 100 years.
Oh yeah, because they probably just forgot about them. They may have just forgotten about them.
This is a BBC article. Um, wow. Okay, it's called a colossal squid and believed to be the largest squid species in terms of mass, weighing up to 500 kilograms. Wow. Okay.
All right, can we?
Let's
Oh,
yeah, let's move on.
all right, this is gonna make you may think if you go to the Bahamas, you're probably, since both of the two cryptids we just covered are in the water, you might think you're safe on land. You ain't.
All
You ain't.
right. So just when you thought it was safe to go to the Bahamas, it's okay. This video is gonna get banned in the Bahamas, by the way. But yeah.
On. And so we're gonna talk about the Yeho.
All right. Can you spell it out for me, please?
It is a Yeho. Yeho.
Okay. Tell us about the Yahoo.
The Yeho is a it's a hybrid between a sloth and a human.
Okay.
Or so I've heard. And it is descriptions say it has very large claws and big feet. It is not hostile, but can still, it could hurt someone if it made it agitated. And
Excuse me.
and this thing also, it can be, descriptions also say that it can be bear to monkey. It can be monkey to bear sized.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it can be small or it can be big.
Huh.
And
I mean, it does kind of sound like a sloth, like a monkey sized, but walking upright. Is it bipedal?
uh-huh.
I guess if it's walking upright.
It's
Yeah.
like the Kentucky Goblins when I said that they were a quadrupedal and bipedal at the same time.
Um, what about, are there any famous sightings of this? So it's not just the Bahamas. Okay, this has been sighted across Cuba.
New Guinea. New Guinea.
Is where they had a sighting.
I'm not sure if they had a sighting, but it's been shown in New Guinea.
Yeah, well, this is, no, I have no way of verifying this, but Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Trinidad, the Andros Island, and Long Island in the Bahamas. So there's a number of different islands there. That's interesting. What makes this creature so compelling?
Like the Ogo Pogo, this is a cryptid that is also a spirit by indigenous people.
Mhm.
It could be said as a spirit.
Yeah. So there's, what is this? Remnants of Antillean ground sloths. So there is,
It's a ground sloth.
well, I'm just gonna read this. We can maybe kind of come at this a little with an open mind. Scholars like Dale Drennan suggest Yeho sightings may stem from memories of now extinct sloths, supported by bones in early colonial. I don't know what this is trying to say here. I'm guessing towns, but interesting. And then George Eberhardt notes how African origin folklore may have preserved images of apes or gorillas and then applied them to Yeho, which I don't know about that.
Explains why it says monkey sized.
Yeah, but it's a blend of wild legend and ecological possibility, because it could be supernatural or an actual cultural echo of long extinct fauna. Interesting. What do you think? I mean, like, you think it might actually be a real thing?
I actually do think it could be a real thing because
Yeah.
um like Nessie and all of her variants, and just since a lot of people say they're prehistoric, they are plesiosaurs that survived the ice age and lived and still live here. That could be just the idea of the Yeho being a ground sloth which is extinct and lived throughout the ice age, or survived the ice age because they had they had coats of fur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what if you could meet a Yeho in the woods? What would you do?
Well, since it's not hostile, I would give him a high five.
Yeah, just gotta be careful with the claw, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be friendly, although the nickname is not particularly friendly. But yeah, sloths in general seem pretty
Chill.
docile. Yeah, kind of calm, kind of cool. Like, yeah, you're a
They
Yahoo.
always got a smile on their face.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on the high five with that.
Right.
Um, all right, so we're up against the clock here, Nate. Um, Anything else about any of the cryptids that we talked about?
Well, there's one more I want to talk about before we end this.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, let's talk about the one and only. Well, we're gonna go way far, far away from the most dangerous island on Earth, for right now, and we're gonna take a trip to Iowa, Van Meter, Iowa,
Ooh,
and we're gonna be talking about the Van Meter visitor.
the Van Meter visitor. Okay, great. Let's go.
All right, so the Van Meter visitor the descriptions of skeptics say that it's a pterosaur that has somewhat brown skin on its chest, but has tannish skin everywhere else. It also has glowing yellow eyes and a yellow crystal coming out of its snout. Well, on the top of its snout.
Yeah.
And its wingspan may be about 10 to 20 feet. And it reports say at night it would look through people's windows, through the windows of people's houses, just to see them.
Just
And
observing them?
yeah, observing them. I have a theory before we keep going into this.
Yeah.
For you, it could be an alien or extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Like, the only other reason for the crystal in its head would be someone just grabbed crystal, mashed them together, and created this thing. And also, other reports say that the Van Meter visitor shot when people were hostile at it, they would shoot it would shoot lasers slat lasers blazers out of the crystal on its snout, if hostile. And
Okay.
one of the and the last sighting was a lot of people grabbed their shotguns and just rifles and came and waited for the Van Meter visitor to show up.
Um,
And then it showed up and they started shooting at it. And like the Kentucky Goblins, didn't even phase it.
yeah. I mean, that to me again screams like multidimensional being.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're seeing something that is um you know what though too? That's interesting. I mean, these sightings were like a businessman, a doctor, a teacher, the town banker. Like these weren't just kids telling stories like pranks or something like that. These were actual like professionals in their community.
And then back to the sighting, these people chased the Van Meter visitor into the into the local mining cave. And when they were in the cave, they saw what seemed to be the Van Meter visitor's mate, which looked exactly like it. And I'm pretty sure there was they had a nest with eggs inside of it. And
I so we have another abandoned mine shaft or cave.
and then the reign of terror finally ended when the cave had a cave in, and rocks fell down all around the cave, and all the humans had to run out of the cave, and the Van Meter visitors probably maybe died of hunger, but it it doesn't mean that they could have gotten out of that cave.
Yeah, something tells me they could have survived that if they were used to living in caves. But that is really interesting. So they, in this sighting, allegedly, there were two creatures, so possibly a parent and offspring, or yeah, and
Yes.
that's again interesting, right? Like we kicked it off with the Kentucky Goblin near a famous caving system, and then now we're back into another like abandoned mine, underground type situation. Um, it's that's really interesting, and this is what, over 100 years ago, 1903.
Yep.
Wow. Um, why do you think the Van Meter visitor had a light beam coming out of its head?
I don't know, I just saw it. I just saw I saw a video of it. And it said that it shot laser beams out of its head, which sounds some like sci-fi movie stuff.
Uh-huh.
And this takes place in 1902, I'm pretty sure.
1902, not 1903. Okay. Um, you think it could still be in the mine?
Well, it could be in the mine, or it could have escaped and
Hmm.
never dared to terrorize the town again.
Man, anything else you feel like people should know about the Van Meter visitor or any of the other cryptids?
Well, no, but I think I think this was a very fun conversation that we had, and
Yeah.
I just want to say this was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And thank
Aw.
thank you, Uncle Jimmy.
Hey, listen, man. This is from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Nate. You've shared so much amazing knowledge and imagination today. Where do you hope your curiosity takes you next? And how do you think others can learn to follow their own curiosity too?
Wait, what did you say? Sorry.
So I was asking you, where's your curiosity going to take you next? And how can other people learn from your imagination and curiosity?
Well, my curiosity and my imagination is gonna take me to the thing I want to be in life, which is a comic artist.
Mm-hmm.
And for other people, I just want to say always be creative, be yourself, and just have fun of what you're doing, and don't let anyone judge what you're doing or judge you.
That's a big part of mindfulness, is to have an open mind, to be creative and imaginative, and to be non-judgmental of ourselves and other people. So Nate, you really brought it home with that. I really appreciate you sharing that. This was a lot of fun.
Hmm?
Yeah. What do you think people should you want to tell them what to do, like if they like this show?
If they like the show, make sure to like and subscribe.
There we
That
go.
subscribe button, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Smash that and or comment below, right? Like, share, subscribe, and or comment.
And make sure to ring that notification bell.
There you go. Nate, this was a absolute blast, man. Thank you for coming on. All
I
right, buddy.
appreciate that. See you
Yep.
later.
See ya. Thank you so much for tuning in today and being with us. May you find joy, flow, and adventure on your journey. And if you got something from it, please like, share, and subscribe and or comment. It means a lot. Thank you.